Hello and welcome to Homestead Imaginations. This is part 2 of why to homestead, why off-grid. The last video got cut off. I didn't realize, because I've never recorded a video this long, that my camera only allows 30-minute videos. So I was talking and it just shut off and stopped recording and a message popped up. So this will be a continuation of that first video. So I was talking about saving money on food and kind of crossing over of like, you got to also account for when you're talking about saving on food is like you're gonna have healthier food, and it's hard to put a price on that. The joy and happiness that comes from growing your own, the fun that you have from watching it grow, something from a tiny little seed all the way to a big plant to then you're harvesting its produce. And then you're getting closer with nature. So those are all the things, and again, it's an investment. So yeah, you spend a lot up front to get situated and get set up, but you're also then going forward, you're cutting your bills down, maybe even eliminating them on some things, but at least cutting your grocery bills down significantly by doing this. So that's one of the big drivers for me. Number 5, keeping active. I'm a busybody. Like, I like to keep moving, I like to keep doing stuff, and this gives me plenty to do for sure. It keeps me busy, it keeps me engaged in life, and having something to do and staying active is a huge thing for me. We started to watch a series on Netflix about like people who lived over 100 years old, that are 100 or older, and the series just basically kind of documented their lifestyle. Like, what did they do, what are they doing, their diet, and some of the big takeaways from the episodes that we've watched so far was they stayed busy. Body in motion stays in motion. When as you get older, if you just start settling and resting all the time, or sitting on a couch and sitting in chairs or whatever it might be, but your body's not really engaged in much. I just feel like our bodies start to like recognize that and be like, oh, okay, like they're kind of done. I think our bodies are far more advanced than like we give credit for, or that we realize, especially when it comes to like nature and like natural things. So like, if we're always like, if you just laid in bed every single day, like your body, I feel like would just, and these are just opinions, these are just my feelings, don't take this as fact. This is just how I feel. But like, if you just lay in bed every day, like, I think your body just knows that or thinks like, oh, like this person's kind of given up, like, like they're done. Like, I've watched some of my dogs like get older and they pass, and it's like one day they're alive and like they're looking at you, but like they're just not doing that great, and then like but they don't move much, and they stop doing the bare necessities, and then it's just like, all right, then like naturally, like then they just pass. Elderly couples, when they lose their significant other, sometimes it doesn't take very long before the other one passes. You'll hear stories about that, and I think that's, again, like, when the mind is decided, like, hey, like, we're done with this world, like, we're good, I've had a good life, like, I'm ready to check out, like, and then we just stop doing stuff and taking care of ourselves, like, I think our body's like, okay, and then it just happens. So I want to keep active, I want to keep my body moving, I want to stay in shape, and then with staying in shape and then building life skills, another thing that I do is I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Another thing that I realized was that I'm not, if I were ever to need to defend myself or defend my family, I'm not skilled in anything like in combat. So chances are, like, if it's another person that's also not skilled, like, then it's, who knows who's going to win, like, it's, whoever gets a lucky shot in or whatever. But if you train, you have a better shot at being able to defend yourself and be capable of stopping someone from doing harm. So that was another thing I realized, like, I was not very good, and that was something that, like, I knew of, but I didn't have the the funds. I didn't have the ability to pay for taking any kind of lessons and classes until somewhat recently. Me and my 2 kids started it in October, and we've been doing it ever since. I go, it's a good week. Like, I go 4 times a week for an hour for my classes, and then my son's classes are for 45 minutes, and they're before mine. So during the week, like, he goes 3 times a week. So we're there for quite a bit right now, but that's something that we do. We do it together. I mean, he has his own class, but it's stuff that we can talk about and share. But it's keeping me active. It's keeping my body healthy. And like, I am 39 years old, and when I started jiu-jitsu, like, wow, every day I was limping, every day I was in pain. It took like probably 4 or 5 months before like my body fully acclimated to doing jiu-jitsu, which is, you know, you're trying to strangle the hell out of someone or put them in a really tough spot, and it's a lot of grips, and it's a lot of tightening of the muscles and holding someone or squeezing on something. So you're working your body in a very intense way, because even when you're practicing, you're competing against the other person. You're trying to learn something, and you're trying to pull off the move that you're trying to pull off, and they're trying to stop you and pull off the move that they want to do. So like, you're using a lot of energy, and you're using a lot of strength. So you're strengthening your body, and I can tell a total difference. Like, I feel my body feels so much younger now since I started that. So that's another self-sufficiency thing that I have been striving towards, and keeping active. This will always keep me active. Going out and just tending to the garden, which a lot of people in the, you know, that were in this video, they had a good diet, they ate a lot of healthy stuff, they were involved in like community stuff, so they had a good social life, and they were active, and a lot of them had gardens. So a garden doesn't take a lot of, it's not back-breaking work once you've got it set up. Like, you had to put them in, that's a lot of digging, it's some hard work, shoveling, but once you've got everything in place, you got your gardens already created and stuff, then it's something that's not that hard on the back. Like, especially if you get into more like raised beds, because then you're bending over less. So like, as time goes on, like, you know, maybe I'll convert a lot of my garden space eventually to raised beds. Like, I've got some raised beds, but they're not very tall. Even the one back there that's my tallest raised bed isn't that tall, but it is, I notice, I mean, it's so much different, you know, when I kneel down. Like, it's so much easier. Like, I'm not kneeling down and also hunched over to harvest things that are lower to the ground. Like, if I kneel down next to that raised bed, like, it's level to me. So it's not bad on my back or anything. So that was number 5. Number 6 is joy and happiness. I've already touched on that. There's a lot of joy and happiness from growing your own food, or raising your own livestock, or raising your own chickens for eggs. Like, there's just, it's so rewarding in such a deep way. You know, it's like, take, like, you know, most people can at least relate to, like, when you mow your lawn, and you look at your lawn, and it's nice mowed, and it looks great, and you feel like accomplished, like, because you did something, you spent time doing it, and it's now done, and you can look at it, and it looks better than it did before you started. So take that and times it by like 100 when you're growing your own food, because you're putting in this work and you're watching it grow, and it's growing because of you. It's growing because of the things that you've done for your soil, for the plants themselves, and then you get to reap those benefits. You get that fresh produce that is directly right from your garden, not been shipped across the country or sat in storage, you know, or trucks to get to places, or just sat in a grocery store waiting for however many days before someone buys it, and then you bring it home, and then so many days before you eat it. So there's just a lot that I find that is just very comforting and very just rewarding, and it really does bring me a lot of happiness. And even doing the work, not even just the growing aspect, but like doing the work. And for me, one of the big kickers this year that made me decide, like, all right, I don't want to just do gardening. Like, I want to get into, I want to dive into homesteading. I want to be able to start producing all my own food and fruit and vegetables and eggs and you know, chicken meat. We eat a lot of chicken here, so like to dive down that. One of the big kickers for me was I was behind lot of projects. I was very ambitious this year of things that I needed to get done and wanted to get done to expand. Some things that got screwed up last year, so I had to completely redo a bunch of stuff. So like I wasn't even making any progress, but it was work that needed to get done, and I was way behind. So I ended up taking used up my fiscal year in my company goes from June 1st to May 30th, and so it was like in April, May time, and I was just way behind, and I was using up last bit of vacation, and I took like a week off. I took a week off for maybe 3-4 days out of the week, so I ended up working maybe 1 or 2 days. I can't remember. I think I took the whole week off, but either way, sorry. I was just shoveling dirt the entire day. That was my day. I was moving dirt from a pile that I had dropped off. I was digging out dirt, digging clay out. I was putting in a greenhouse, so I was just digging out all the clay so I could bring in topsoil, get the foundation of the greenhouse in place, leveled as best I could, which it wasn't that leveled. Especially as I started putting things in, it shifted on me. So it's not the best, but it works. It got put together. It was a nightmare. Some things already came bent because they'd gotten damaged by some wind, because the wind can really do a number on a greenhouse like this. So, but I've got it situated now. I feel like I've had a recent storm blow off one panel, so I secured that even better than it was before. And then before that, we had almost tornadoes touched down in the area, which is super rare for New York, especially upstate New York, where we're all surrounded by mountains. There's not a lot of valleys, so we don't get tornadoes. But that storm blew off a bunch of panels, but I re-secured them. Then we got this other storm that probably wasn't as bad as that one, but it was really bad. We had microbursts where it literally came, just slapped down, and trees didn't get blown over, they got snapped in half. Telephone poles literally got snapped in half from just the sheer force of the wind just coming straight down. Or probably at a slight angle, but it didn't blow a tree over. It wasn't from wind pushing from a side, it was coming straight down. I did that for that week, just digging dirt and stuff, and I was so happy. It was one of my happiest work weeks of I was working, I was staying active, and so that was such a big thing for me, was that I was wow, I'm doing this manual labor, I'm out in the sun. I got sunburnt a little bit. I've got a huge tan this year. I'm more tan this year than I've ever been in my entire life, because I basically spent all of spring till now outdoors. If I'm home and it's sunny out, or just not pouring rain, I'm outside doing something. So I'm getting a lot of sun, and I've gotten very tan. So that made me decide, all right, even though this is hard labor, this is physical, and it's not the most fun thing either. I was just digging dirt, but I was just so happy. There was no stress, there was no worrying about this or that, worrying about if I'm gonna have a job, because my job situation is up in the air. My company is outsourcing, so there will come a time in the next year or two where I will be potentially my job will be going away. Now, whether I still have a different job within the company after is to be seen when we get to that point, but my job is going away. It's being obsoleted because we're transferring all our production to overseas. So I was just so happy, and so I was all right, this is what I really want to do. This is what I want to do with my life. And it's not because I want to homestead full time because I'm looking to not work or work less. I work 40 hours and then I come home and I work another 20-40 hours. Today it's 1:15 right now p.m. on August 24th, and I've been up since 5 a.m. doing stuff, getting stuff done around the house, getting some outdoor chores done, working on the next projects. I worked on the next raised bed that I'm going to be putting in after I'm done with this video. So I have spent a lot of time. I don't look at the hours, but I at least spend another 20 to 40 hours at home working on this. So I'm not looking to work less. Yeah, it would be cool if I could get it down to where I was only working 40 hours from home at homesteading, but like if I was working 60, 80 hours at home, I'd still be happier than working at working for someone else, or working for a place that doesn't appreciate their employees or appreciate you and your worth as a person. So and when you work for yourself, like even if like, all right, I got a lot of stuff doing, like, oh, the kids want to go do something, like I can stop if I want to, and just be like, all right, I'll just get to it tomorrow. And like I want to get to a point where like I'm not living off this, and like I have to grow this and this and this, or harvest this much, otherwise we're not gonna be able to pay our bills. Like I'm only gonna be able to do this full time and be able to quit working for someone else if I've got the infrastructure to be able to sustain myself comfortably, because I don't want to live a life of stress. I've done that for most of my life, and I just don't want to. So this is something that I want to be able to enjoy. So it will be a lot of work. It's hard work, but I really enjoy that. So joy and happiness. And then the final one I've already touched on, number 7, is nature. Getting closer to nature. I'm a big person. I love being in nature. I love being in the woods. I love hiking. I love seeing wildlife. I get excited when I see deer come in the yard, or we've seen a bobcat, a coyote. We see rabbits all the time. They're a nuisance though. Don't get joy of seeing them anymore, seeing that they started getting into my garden. They're cute until they start getting into the garden. We've seen turkeys. We see a lot of turkeys. What else have we seen? We've had a bear knock over our garbage can, but I did not see it. It was at night. And then what else have we seen? We've seen possums, raccoons, beaver. We got a beaver in the yard. I don't know if I said that already, but that's all fun. And then like all the hawks. We've seen some big hawks, some cranes, blue herons flying by, some vulture birds. Not very good with birds, so I don't know all the different kinds, but we see all sorts of different creatures here. So I love that. But like growing your own stuff, getting your own food, again, I've already covered this in some of the other areas, because it is related. But I like the idea of just getting closer with nature. And I think if we spent more time outdoors, I think again our health, we'd be a lot healthier if we were outdoors more, not in a stuffy house that's a good cesspool for germs or easily being able to be spread if you're all indoors. If one person's sick in our house, usually everyone gets sick. So like those are the things, like I really feel like if we as people got closer to nature, I think we'd have a much healthier life. And I really like the idea, and I'm not saying that I live it, nor do I think I'll ever live it, but I appreciate and like the lifestyle of like how people lived way back in the day, where like if you just left that area, it wouldn't, it would take some time, but it wouldn't be forever, where people would never know that you lived here. Like go back to like Native Americans, like you can't tell anywhere where the Native Americans lived, because their structures, everything that they made was all natural, and it's all been returned to Earth and Mother Nature. So like that's just something that like I want to strive to get as best and close to that as I possibly can. In this day, in this society, I think it's impossible to truly get there and still be able to accomplish a lot and do a lot. But I want to try and do my best to at least get as close as I can to that. And so nature is important, and we got to protect it. And there's a lot of things that we could be doing differently and better that would make a difference and preserve our world and preserve nature. So that's my whole spiel. Those are all the reasons why like I've decided and why I want to homestead. I hope you enjoyed the videos, because there's 2 of them. I know they're long. I apologize about that, but like there's a lot to be said, and like I really wanted to get it out there of like the reasons why like I'm trying to do this. And like so that way it's clear for people that like I know in my real life who have asked me like, why do you want to do that, and like they just don't understand. It's like, oh, like, well, that's not going to save you any money, like it costs you this and this, and like, well, yeah, not up front, and maybe not for a long time, maybe not ever, But also by doing it this way, I know I've got healthier food than what other people would buy from the grocery store. I know I'm going to be healthier because of it. I know my children are going to be healthier because of it. I know that I'm gaining skills that if anything were ever to happen, like, then I've got skills to be able to keep myself and my family alive and fed. So those are the things that motivate me and drive me. And yeah, so I just wanted to get it out there. I thought this would be a fun video. I've seen other people, do similar videos, and like, it was interesting to me to listen to their reasons of why they did it. And my reasons are very similar to other people's. I'm not saying like my views are unique and only I have these ideas and beliefs and values, but it's also good to know, like, especially if you're following someone, like, to just see what makes them tick, like what makes them want to do what they're doing. So, and I find it interesting. I watch a bunch of people on YouTube who homestead, who off-grid live, who just garden, who just raise, chickens or whatever, or completely do the whole farm aspect. Like, all of it is just very interesting to me, and I watch other videos and mostly listen to them because I'll put them on while I'm at work, and with a headset, and I'll just listen to them while I work and get stuff done. And I'll hear them talk about like their trials, their failures, their successes, and I'm learning at the same time as being able to watch someone else do something that I'm doing myself and want to be doing in the future, and listening to them and being able to tell their story, and they're excited and I'm excited for them because, like, that's exciting. It's awesome. Like, I wish more people had gardens. I wish more people would grow their own foods. I saw a thing literally recently, like, online. It was like, having a yard and clean cut grass is something from like that started like, and I don't remember exactly, but I think it said like 1940s, 1950s. But before that, people grew their own food. They didn't have a grocery store where they just went and got all the stuff. You might have a general store that had things that were shipped in, like maybe like bananas. Like, I'm not growing bananas in New York. So to get those shipped in, like, makes sense, but they'd be shipped in fresh, and now with all these preservatives and who knows what else is in this food that we get from the stores. But you would grow your own stuff. So stop, basically the ad was like, stop growing grass, grow food. Care more about like using your land and using your space wisely instead of just having something that just looks nice. Now granted, like, a yard is more than just looking nice. Like, that's the place for the kids to play, and like be able to do sports at home, run around, ride bikes. So there's obviously more to just having a yard than that, but also like we should be growing more of our food and getting to a simpler life, cutting our costs, living below our means, which is something that we have always done. I live well below my means, and I barely spend any money outside of like the necessities of food and the bills. Like, I barely buy anything for myself. Usually, like, I make a list in my phone and my like a notes page, being like, all right, I wanted this. All right, I put that in there for gift ideas. And like, when it comes close to my birthday or Christmas, like, that's what I'll send what's in there to my wife, and then like I'll get X amount of items that are on that list for Christmas, and it's like, all right, and then my birthday's in July, so then like I save the rest for July, and probably add some things in there in the meantime. So like, that's like what I do. Like clothes, like if I'm getting low on socks, boxers, or shirts or pants or whatever on clothes, like I don't buy it. I wait until it's like Christmas or my birthday or anniversary or Valentine's, little stuff like that. Like we wait for like holidays to get that kind of stuff, or at least I do so much. My wife's not the best at it, but I'm definitely way better at that aspect. But so just living a better life, and if we all grew more of our own food, we'd all be healthier. I think we'd be happier. This is all plants growing instead of just grass, so it's better for the soil, it's better for nature. So, all right, I think that's enough rambling for me. Apologies for letting this run so long and so kind of rambled mess, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you also feel the same, at least on some of the topics. Maybe you've got some other ideas or other things that drive you to want to do this, or why you find it fantastic, why you watch it. I I know there's people that I'm friends with that watch my channel, just they don't want to do it. It's a lot of work, and like they can't fit it into their schedule, and still like have leisure time and whatnot. So watching other people do it is something fun for them. Seeing other people do things that like you can't really tackle just yet, or maybe you don't ever really want to tackle it yourself, but you still enjoy watching it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, comment down below on what are the things that drive you to wanting to garden or to homestead or live off grid, like whatever we want to call it. Who cares what the name is? Let me know. What are your reasons for wanting to do any of these things? And then we can have a chat about it. All right. I hope you had a good one. I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And keep the imagination rolling. Take care.